The car population of Zambia has been increasing by the day, but these cars also mean an increase in the consumption of petroleum products because the majority of Zambian cars depend on petroleum products to move. But recently, Zambia, especially Lusaka, witnessed a shortage in the supply of petroleum products, and remnants of that are still being witnessed and experienced today. The big question is, why has this been happening and what was the cause of the last shortage? The oil marketing companies have attributed this to the transportation sector. The Director General of the Energy Regulation Board says this was a logistical problem. But let's hear it then from the people transporting these products. I sat down with Eugene Ndlovu, who is the president of the Sadc Truck Drivers Association of Zambia. He was telling us what led to this shortage, how these drivers are coping in Zambia, and what are some of the solutions that can be provided to ease the doing business of these drivers. Welcome to the stage. My name is Ndaba Jonah Huyo. Mr. Ndlovu, so go ahead, tell us what the position of the association is on the shortages of fuel that has become rampant.
Well, thank you very much, Jonah, for that very important question. I'm sure as a country, especially after being hit with the drought, issues of load shedding are rampant, and something that can easily mitigate this effect is actually the self-fuel we are talking about. Therefore, our position as an association that deals with the welfare of drivers is that we've been engaging transporters associations, to be specific, the Petroleum Transporters Association of Zambia. We are actually in constant touch with them, also Ministry of Energy and other key stakeholders. It is worth noting that the shortage mainly was as a result of the elections which took place in the recent past in Mozambique, because of the violence that came after the results were announced. The opposition political parties felt that there was some kind of electoral malpractice, and they did not accept the results of that elections. Even as we speak, the situation has not 100% stabilized. So that led to long queues of trucks marooned in Beira port, because workers in the port had been asked to stay away from work. So a number of trucks that went to uplift fuel meant for this country got stuck for some days. But however, I just want to make mention that currently the situation is stabilizing. Responsible government ministries and agencies are working around the clock to make sure that the situation stabilizes. So we are very much hopeful that going forward, especially in the next 2 weeks, we will see an improvement in the supply of the commodity.
It's interesting that you say that, because the Petroleum Association, Transporters Association of Zambia, is attributing the recurring fuel shortage in the country to government's preference for foreign truckers as compared to local ones. And they're saying that government must be much more involved, according to the Secretary General, must be much more involved in the transportation of petroleum products through Tazama and Indeni. And they're saying that the recent fuel shortage is simply a symptom of the failure to implement statutory instrument number 35 that is aimed at promoting local participation, leaving oil marketing companies to favor foreign operators. Is this also one of the reasons why this shortage is happening?
Definitely. You see, when you look at SI 35, the reason why SI 35 of 2021 The reason why it was promulgated in the first place was to uplift the standards of the local transporters. And once the standards of the local transporters are uplifted, that trickles down to better conditions for our members. Now, currently the scenario is that 100% of the fuel that we are using as a country is totally in the hands of multinational companies, and these OMCs are supplying the market. They are actually preferring foreign trucks because of the rates. They are saying foreign trucks are cheaper, say by 15 to 20 dollars per cubic meter, and because of the same, we have seen that our local transporters have been disadvantaged, and this is affecting our members directly, because where they are supposed to, for instance, do 2 to 3 trips a month, currently we are seeing them doing a trip over a period of sometimes 40 to 50 days, which is very, very unfortunate. So we want to see government coming on board, taking its place, because this is a very sensitive commodity. Talk, for instance, jet A1, which we use for our planes. We cannot afford to continue with a trajectory where foreign companies are given the responsibility to uplift such a very sensitive commodity, which is even used on the plane carrying our head of state and our ministers as they go to engage, you know, with their foreign counterparts on several occasions. So it's imperative that government takes place. They should get back to the old system where they are in full control. Even the OMCs should get terms and conditions from government. That way we protect the industry.
That is one way of looking at it. The other way could also be on the side of efficiency, and perhaps that's where the concern has been. Do you think that the transporters and also just the truckers locally have been efficient and have been delivering a good service for the country, for them to be trusted with the entire responsibility of transportation of these petroleum products?
Oh yes, absolutely. When you talk of capacity, we do have the right capacity to deal with transportation of fuel in this country. Even in an instance where probably they might need beef up, there is a provision for subcontracting. What we are saying, let the Zambian owned companies take the lead, unlike where foreign companies have dominated the industry. This in itself is, denying the country of much needed revenue in terms of forex, because whatever monies these foreign companies are making, it's going back to their country. Even the drivers that drive these foreign trucks are foreign drivers. So what is it that will be left for our country? No wonder it's a challenge today to stabilize even the dollar, because much of the activities that are supposed to be entertained locally are externalized.
Why do you think this happened then? Since we're saying we need to revert to the old system, how did we get away from the old system, and what are some of the reasons that have led to us seeing this infiltration of these foreign truckers?
For us, we worry much when we see such things happening, because like I alluded to earlier, that SI number 35 of 2021 was promulgated specifically to protect the local industry. Now, where we have effective laws, but what is happening on the ground is the opposite, leaves much to be desired. For me to answer your question, I would say we have cartels that we need to deal with. We cannot have a situation where the law speaks to this, but what is obtaining on the ground is totally the opposite. So, if enforcement and full implementation of SI 35 of 2021 could be done sincerely, we wouldn't be talking of foreign companies interfering with the local market.
Let me talk about the big debate, and I want us to dwell a little bit on this when we talk about this big debate with regards to capacity. And I want to find out, you evaluate in your own analysis that the local companies, the local transporters have the capacity, but do you as associations feel that apart from the capacity, you have the support of the oil marketing companies, the support of the government for you to be able to execute this work?
I wouldn't say we have the right type of support that we need currently, because if the support was there, then definitely we should be talking of a different scenario. These oil marketing companies, I've said they prefer foreign companies because of lower rates. And when you look at the same lower rates, partly the reason is because most of the companies, the foreign companies that are bringing fuel in the country, you look at how they look after their drivers. It's regrettable. In Zambia, for instance, for a cross-border tanker driver to go and bring fuel, say from Dar es Salaam or Beira, they are paid in allowances $600. But our colleagues from the other end, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, some are paid half the price, even less than half. So these foreign transporters are abusing their workers at the expense of winning the contracts. So for us, especially that we have a government that has always been talking about a driver being a friend. You look at the pronouncements made by the current head of state, even the time when he was in opposition, during his campaigns, the message was to improve working conditions for the drivers. But today, if certain companies could opt to abuse drivers so that they lower the rates to get the contract, it's very unfortunate. So OMCs should have respect for for local transporters, and the issue of lower rates. I think we have standards.
Isn't it acceptable though? Isn't it understandable though, Mr. Ndlovu, when a business looks for a lower option of a cost? Isn't that a justifiable reason for you to transact, with a business that is offering you lower rates?
Yes, you are right, but that shouldn't be done to disadvantage other players in the equation. So people must not lower the rates to disadvantage others at the expense of a poor driver. What we are saying, let's conform to standards. Drivers are supposed to be motivated. The issue of like these allowances started a long time ago, and it cannot become an issue today to say $600 is too much. So it's better that the contract is given to someone who is paying $200 to the driver to bring the commodity. Because of the same cheap labor issues, we have serious issues of contaminating the product. There are instances where even a truckload has been found, tempered with the commodity is gone and there's just water in the vessel. Why? It's because the person behind the wheels, the guy who is actually moving the commodity, is not motivated. At the end of the day, we are compromising the lifespan of everyone's machinery and stuff. So really for us, we feel the issue of lower rates should be looked into very, very intelligently.
These are issues, you say, that are dealing with the foreign truckers, but let's be honest, since time immemorial, the truck drivers have been holding various protests and they're demanding for better conditions of service. So if they're paid these amounts of money by the local transporters, why do they keep complaining, about the better conditions? So help us then understand these challenges that they're facing and why they keep protesting.
Jonah, I'll take you a little bit back. During the last, what I would say, year of the PF regime, during that year, I'm sure you agree with me that we recorded a number of protests in the sector. And because of the same, we saw promulgation of SI 106 of 2020, which speaks to conditions of both bus and truck drivers. Unfortunately, when the UPND took over, just a few months after the same statutory instrument had been in effect, we saw a downward adjustment from what was prescribed in the SI that was promulgated under the PF regime.
What had been prescribed? Let's get it clear.
Yeah. So when you talk of the principal order in that SI, the basic salary for a truck driver is 3,000 kwacha. Then 30% of the same housing allowance. We have 180 kwacha is a lunch allowance, 153 kwacha is transport allowance. Then you come to allowances, subsistence allowance. A day when you are doing local trips, it used to be 390 kwacha. And then across the borders, 25 USD. And then now, also where there is what we call a risk allowance for those that are moving abnormal loads as well as dangerous goods. For abnormal and dangerous goods, what is prescribed there is 10 cents per kilometer. Then came the revised SI number 13 of 2022 under the current regime, which came with downward adjustments. And these adjustments mainly were done on allowances. So from 390 kwacha locally, it was reduced to 100 kwacha. What a percentage. From $25 US across borders to $15. Then for the abnormal and the dangerous goods, per kilometer, like I indicated, was 10 cents, reduced to 8 cents, 0.08 cents. Local, it used to be 1 kwacha 15 we, reduced to 18 we. So this did not sit well with the fraternity, because voting UPND into power, drivers had high expectations. When you revisit the promises made by the current head of state, it led to high expectations, and only to see downwards, adjustment as to what was fought for during the previous regime. So this caused a lot of uncertainty and discomfort. It is actually one of the reasons why you saw people, organizing those protests and stuff. However, as associations and trade unions in the sector, we quickly intervened and engaged government, especially through Ministry of Labor and Social Security, to revisit the position which the ministry had taken to make those adjustments in the revised SI. And we were promised, we were given comfort that it's a listening government, and something will be done to make sure that the correct thing is done. Up to now, as we speak, we are still at the same point. Nothing has changed from the same revised statutory instrument. What's more, when it comes to these people who are enjoying, like I mentioned, the $600 strip allowance, now that the business is in the hands of foreign transporters, it means trucks for those that should have been enjoying these allowances are standing. There's no business for them. So it's a $600 on the paper. Meanwhile, the people that are enjoying these trips are foreign truckers. So these are some of the compounding factors that are leading to what is very undesirable, in terms of looming protests. It's not healthy that every 3-6 months we should be hearing of looming protests in the sector. This is a very critical sector. You know that these drivers are actually the wheels of the economy, and the moment they decide to withdraw labor, the effects of that are very devastating. It really affects the economy very, very bad, especially now that we are going through this very difficult time of load shedding, hunger. We need this relief mess to come as soon as possible. We need fuel for the generators and other activities, the hospitals and stuff. So we are very much concerned, and we continue to engage government to see to it that these issues are addressed as soon as possible. Also, let me make mention that this year in April, we met the President, His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema.
Which is what I was going to ask next, that if all of these things are coming up, and you are the association that represents these drivers, what are you doing, to make sure that their concerns are heard by the powers that be?
Yeah, like I was saying, in April this year, because of the same issues, the president, being a listening president and someone who has always called himself a friend to the drivers, made time to meet with the drivers and the transporters in Ndola, Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. All burning issues were highlighted, presented before the head of state. And to that effect, the president instructed Ministry of Transport and Logistics to be a lead ministry to spearhead, processes that could lead to finding solutions to the many challenges that we presented before the head of state. A technical working committee was constituted, and I'm privileged to be part of the same technical working committee. It's just that the pace at which these issues are being discussed and handled is very slow.
By you, the technical committee?
The minister actually is in charge. The minister in charge of the ministry that was tasked to look at the issues that were raised. I'm sure he should be on top of issues. When issues are presented to the head of state and you are dealing with issues under presidential directives, I mean, you cannot be sitting and talking of nothing having not changed after 7 months of having interacted with the president. So we are actually of the view that before the end of the year, we need to get back to the head of state and indicate to him that we are still going around in a vicious circle. All the issues that we presented that need urgent attention are still stagnant, so that we see what the next course of action will be from the head of state himself.
When you talk about all of this, I'm pretty sure you are aware that there is, in fact, looming protest that is about to happen. I know that you are aware of this, and news is that this is because some certain foreign companies are mistreating some of their workers. Well, I might assume that you have heard about this, but have you caught wind of this?
Definitely. It's actually one of key issues that we are currently pursuing, because we have seen that even officers or officials, inspectors, labor inspectors from the ministry, when they go out to conduct inspections, they are disrespected by some of the transporters in the sector, especially foreign investors. They disrespect our officers with impunity. They intimidate our members to an extent that joining unions has become a problem in this country. They want workers to remain vulnerable so that there is no strong voice to speak for them, and we have brought this to the attention of the powers that be, and we want to see action going forward. So yes, I want to acknowledge the fact that drivers are planning to go on a strike, because they've seen that no matter how much they try to engage through us and us with the line ministries and agencies that are supposed to respond to these challenges, we are not making headway. So this is frustrating, and it can lead to such protests, of course.
But then some of these truck drivers are going to the UPND or the UPND Secretariat and raising some of these issues, and I ask myself if they are not well represented by you then. Why is all of this happening?
In as much as we would love to appreciate that these political entities also, their vision is to see that the welfare of the citizen improve. We want to state, especially as an association, and for the record, this is the position of Sadc Truck Drivers Association of Zambia. We have enough line ministries, government offices that are supposed to deal with these issues. Labor issues are very sensitive, and politicizing them will be very unfortunate. You can imagine, just in the sector we have 8 registered organizations, both trade unions and associations, and if today one will go to try and seek sympathy from UPND, the other from MMD, the other organization goes to PF, it will be total chaos. So we wish to advise and appeal to our colleagues that probably think that answers could be gotten from political party secretariats, that please, let's desist from that. I think as a country we have enough institutions that can deal with those matters amicably. Like I indicated, that we are engaging and currently engaging at the highest level. The president gave directives, and we want now to see, before the year comes to an end, what this committee will come up with through the guidance of the minister in charge. And if things are not going to materialize as expected, then we'll get back to the president. Governance of the country and political party issues, I think we need to draw a line. It will not help us, it will just worsen the situation. I think as registered entities, we are guided through our constitutions how to deal with our grievances. Going to our political, leaders, be it opposition or in ruling, those that are not in governance, for us, we feel should be, avoided at all costs.
Are some of your drivers, or are your drivers in discipline? And is this why they are doing all of this that is currently happening?
Yes, we have a section of drivers that are unruly. Like I indicated that the issue of anti-union is very active in this country. Most of the drivers, I would call them, for lack of a better term, loose cannons. They don't belong either to associations or unions. So we have serious problems with this group of drivers, because they can just wake up, mobilize themselves through a WhatsApp group, and incite each other, end up doing probably what you've just shared, that there are drivers that went to the UPND secretariat to have their issues addressed. Yeah, so that also is a problem where we want to see government coming on board to make sure that they regulate. Because if we leave it open like that for people just to be waking up and coming up with issues that have the potential to destabilize the country, it's very unfortunate.
And when such issues come up, how are you dealing with them? And I'm talking about from the side of the political party itself as well, because if these drivers are going to the political party, it means that they're being given an open space for them to go there. So how would you like to deal with this? While I know you're dealing with the government, but the party is also quite an influential force. So how are you dealing with this to manage these drivers both from your end and the secretariat end? Or how would you think it should best be done?
Yeah, I think the best would be to engage our colleagues from the party secretariats to sensitize the general membership, those that probably would knock at their offices, to sensitize them that government has actually enough institutions that can deal with their matters in line with the law. And it's imperative also that the same leadership that is found at whichever secretariat works very closely with those in government that are mandated to deal with these issues that are affecting our members. We need to see deliberate policies, coming on board, where people should be sensitized on how to deal with these issues in line with the law.
Let's talk a little bit about the Zambian truckers, the drivers that have been murdered both in South Africa and the DRC. I think we've heard of such situations quite a number of times, and I would like to know, as a regional organization, as a regional association, how you are dealing with this specific situation.
Thank you very much for that very, very important question. Yeah, I'm sure records are there for everyone to see how much suffering our people, are subjected to when they cross borders, especially in the DRC, to be specific, and in some instances in South Africa. As an association, we've been engaging our colleagues at bilateral, regional level. Very high-profile meetings have taken place, and I want to make mention that talking of corridors like the Durban, Richards Bay, Bedbridge, Wavis Bay corridor, Beira, Dar es Salaam, we've seen a tremendous improvement in terms of safety and security of our drivers. Except in the DRC, it's still a nightmare. Whenever someone crosses the border, they are not sure as to when they will come back because of the policies in that country, even in terms of just customs clearance, then security is not guaranteed. We have and we are still engaging. You know, Congo is a sovereign nation, and as an association, I think for us, our major objective is to engage. So we are engaging with government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well as Transport to continue reminding their counterparts on the need to respect economic movers who enter that country to provide goods and services. Now, because of lack of what I would term serious good political will, we are still hitting a hard rock, but we are not going to relent. Though I should also confess that looking back 5 years ago, the situation used to be very, very bad. But today, at least, we have seen a slight change from what used to take place. But whatever the case, just an attack on one driver or losing one life is still a concern to us. We are praying and hoping that going forward, these issues could be a thing of the past.
And let's talk about then the security of these drivers when they're transporting these goods, these various goods. How are you as an association, as the companies they're working for, making sure that they have some level of security, safeguarding their own lives, especially that at the moment these dangers are still present?
Yeah, again, I'll still go back to the issue of engaging all key stakeholders. I'll give you a practical example. Just within the country, there is a hotspot called Kapiringozi between Kafue and Chirundu border, where almost on a daily basis it has become a norm that drivers are attacked, property looted, even during daytime. We have engaged Zambia Police and Ministry of Transport to see how best they can put permanent, security personnel to make sure that drivers, get the comfort they deserve as they, drive past that stretch. Also, we are encouraging transporters to come up with individual initiatives where they can provide security, like motorized armed security within the same hotspots. Say the trucks, they will leave Lusaka. When they get to a point where it's easy for them to be attacked, they should have an arrangement there by the company to say, when you get here, you park, then someone is going to escort you to make sure that no one tampers with the truck and your life past that stretch. So we have and we are still engaging stakeholders to make sure that this aspect of security and safety of our members is taken seriously. These are highly vulnerable people. They move alone, moving high value products which attract, of course, the attention of robbers, especially with the economic hardships. They know that the weakest target is a driver who is carrying cargo worth millions, and yet is, on his own, he cannot fight back. So it's important that mechanisms meant to protect our people are put in place the soonest.
A lot of times when such situations happen, the owners of these companies and even the general public feel the suspicion or the need to suspect that when such crime is committed, it is in partnership with the drivers, that these criminals have connived with the driver. to pretend that a robbery has happened so that they can part away with the millions worth of product that is being transported. I'm sure you've heard this so many times.
Yeah, those are isolated issues. Even in other institutions, they'll always be inside, jobs arrangements where people connive with criminals. But look, we are talking of a guy that has been brutalized. There are instances where a life has even been lost. How do you connive with someone who is ready to take your life? Yeah. So the bottom line for me would be to ask, why would a driver who is looked after very well, who respects his job, compromise his future in such a manner? So we do have companies that are very exploitative. They send drivers with these high value products without enough resources for the same driver to take care of themselves. Obviously it becomes a temptation. The guy will be looking around, what can I touch also to make ends meet? So we are saying to our transporters, especially those that send people across borders, that let's provide enough resources for the drivers so that they are not tempted to engage in these illicit activities. Otherwise, as associations, we condemn in the strongest terms issues of criminality or illegality, things like engaging in human trafficking, smuggling, tampering with the client's cargo, even diesel from the truck, siphoning, swapping tires. These are things that we have made our position very clear that we are not going to take sides. Where there is a problem, let's sit and make sure that we find an amicable way instead of resorting to illegalities.
Finally, as we conclude, I just want to know what kind of relationship you have as an association with this government.
I think, to be honest, the relationship is very mutual. They have what I call open door policy. You don't need to make an appointment if there is an issue of national interest. You just knock at any minister's office, you'll be accommodated nicely. They'll give you a listening ear. You share notes and see how best you can resolve the issues. So in a nutshell, so far so good, except that implementation of some of the already existing statutory instruments and laws. We need to see an improvement in that aspect. Officers mandated to enforce the law and see to it that there's full implementation. I think they need to change their attitude. They are actually let down. That's why we still continue to complain. So if there can be an improvement in the manner that sensitive issues are handled with a sense of urgency, then we'll be good to go.
Thank you so much for speaking with us on this edition of this.
Pleasure is mine.